Hello. Okay, it says I'm live. Hello and good afternoon, everyone. I am just getting set up here, so if you join, let me know if you can hear me okay, or if I need to adjust anything. Happy to adjust. I am just getting my flute out so that I can demonstrate a couple of things. Hi! If you just joined, let me know if you can hear me okay. Happy to adjust my microphone if I need to. Also, just, say hello. I'd love to know who's here. Um, yeah. Getting set up. Hello! We have people joining. So exciting. Love it. Hi! Ooh, this is so exciting. It's nice to see all of you. If you're here, feel free to leave a comment so that I know who's watching. And yeah, we're going to talk about tuning today. Like, literally my favorite thing to do. And I'm not joking. I love it. Okay, cool. I'm still getting set up. So now let me get my notes out because I made sure I was prepared for this. Okay. How's everybody doing today? Awesome. I am in Baltimore and it's been warm out past couple of days. Very, very nice. Feels like spring is just around the corner. Okay, well, I think we will get started. If you're here again, feel free to drop something in the chat so I know who's watching. But yeah, so this video is for you if you're someone that has trouble playing tune. Raise your hand if you have trouble playing in tune sometimes. Maybe you already use a tuner and are playing these long notes with your tuner, like, and just like staring at your tuner, watching the needle move around. Or maybe you have that app with the happy face. Or maybe you don't even have a tuner. So if you are somebody who is practicing with your tuner, you're still feeling frustrated about being in tune, or you're in ensembles, you're playing in band, and all of a sudden, like, the tuner isn't very helpful, or, you can't use your tuner all throughout band on, like, every single note. Like, maybe when you tune your B flats at the beginning, everything's great, and then things go south when you have to play high F. So if you're that person who is feeling stuck or feeling frustrated, this training is for you. And ultimately, the goal with intonation, with being able to play in tune and have your ear trained for tuning, is to not have to use the tuner anymore. I know that might sound a little strange, but I have never used the tuner in an orchestra or a band setting. Actually, I have never. I mean, when I first started in high school, I used it. But all through college, and then my master's degree, and then playing professionally, the oboe, or whoever's tuning the band, they use the tuner. But then everyone else tuning doesn't use the tuner. So notice how, like, it's not like every single person is playing with the tuner. You have to do it by ear. You have to know if you're in tune by ear. So if you're not the person giving the reference pitch, the goal is to not have to rely on the tuner. And wouldn't it be nice not to have to look at the tuner when we're practicing? Anyway, so that all goes down to training your ears. So there are I'm calling them like 3 secret tips to getting your playing in tune, feeling confident with it, having your ear developed. And I'm just going to go through those. So number 1 is to make sure that you're doing all of the right things. So this includes posture. It includes air support, air speed, air density, embouchure. And all of these things, they might not seem like they're related to tuning. But just to give you an example, one example is if you're a flute player and you like to slouch a little bit when you play, listen to what happens to the pitch. Can you guys tell me what happened to it? I'll do it one more time. So, I think the cars outside heard me. I'm going to see if there's any comments. No comments yet, but the pitch is going down. So if I come into band rehearsal and all of a sudden I'm playing like and I can't play in tune with my stand partner and I'm like, why is that happening? It's not the tuner's fault. It's not my ear's fault. It's the fact that I might not be doing the right thing when it comes to posture. So making sure that you're doing the right thing with posture, with breathing, with air, because if we change any of those things, the tuning adjusts itself. Tilting like this, all of these posture related, air related things, and also the embouchure, how tight your embouchure is, totally relates to that too. So being able to feel and know whether or not you're doing all the right things in those categories is really important for playing in tune. And especially because for me, like when I'm working with somebody and they come to me after like a whole week of practicing and they're just like, I can't play in tune. Turns out, we do a little test. They've been blowing with like too slow an airspeed the entire week. Or maybe their embouchure has been too tight and it's been messing with things. So making sure that you're doing all of the right things is super important, but you also need that one-on-one support throughout the week. We also just sent this email out about practice support. You need to be able to check in and make sure that you're doing things right. So when Anna and I were in, college for music, we constantly had that support. We were constantly in band rehearsals with our professors who were like, Amanda, what are you doing over there? That's not right. We were constantly in, lessons, or we were outside of our lessons and just being able to ask. We were performing like every single week and we had people critiquing us. It was an environment where we had all of that constant support so that we could check in and get feedback if we weren't doing something right. So that sort of like access to somebody who can give you a pointer that's actually useful, by the way, not just their like opinion, is really important. And I can't emphasize that enough, how important that is. And you can't really find that feedback by just searching Google, like, how do I play the flute in tune? Google's not going to like diagnose you in the moment. And especially because, those days when you show up to rehearsal, and you're like this, like, you might be the only person that knows, like, oh, I'm slouching a little bit today, and that's what's going on. Anyway, so that is number one, making sure you're doing all the right things. Number two is knowledge of music theory. So this might seem a little strange, and also, if you're over there, like, rolling your eyes about music theory, it's okay. I understand because I did the same thing. Super boring, can be super boring. And, it's not necessarily always about playing your instrument because you have to like study the theory of music. But the part of music theory that I want to emphasize is intervals. So an example of an interval is a major third. I'm going to try to play an interval with my tuner. We're going to see if that works over sound, but here we go. So I'm going to have the tuner play A, and I'm going to play a C sharp, and that is a major third. Hopefully you can hear that. That's an A. So I've just played a C sharp with my A, and that is a major third. Minor second, major second, minor third, perfect intervals, major six, minor six. There are like a lot of intervals to learn. And then through music theory, you learn what those are, how to identify them, which ones are consonant and dissonant, and all of that really, really helps you play in tune. And the thing about that is when you are in band playing with somebody else, like let's say you're playing the flute 2 part and you're like the slightly lower part, and then the flute 1 part is slightly higher. So maybe the flute 1 part, they're playing a C sharp, and the flute 2, you're playing an A. And you all tuned before and played the B flat and everything was cool. But then all of a sudden that A and C sharp is out of tune. Sorry, the traffic gets so noisy this time of day. But you're playing the A and the C sharp together. And you have to make that in tune. And knowing how that interval works from a music theory standpoint allows you to make the adjustment. So for a major third, like the way it works with tuning a major third with itself is the A and the C sharp, they're not going to be exactly in the middle at 440. They're going to be slightly off from that so that they can harmonize with each other. That's the whole point of harmony, is layering sounds on top of each other, to make it sound more musical. So yeah, that's the thing about tuning, is like you're not always playing in unison. So knowing about intervals, knowing how they work is super important for that. Also chords. So if you're studying chords in music theory, which is another thing that, like, if you do virtual Woodman Academy, it's all like intervals and chords and also rhythms for the music theory portion. But chords are intervals built on top of each other. So it's the same thing if you're studying chords. Okay, so that's number 2. Number 3, and just to review, just in case anybody's joining and skipped to this part, the 3 secret tips are, so far, number 1, making sure you're doing all the right things. Posture, air, all that. Embouchure. Number 2, knowing about music theory. And here's the golden one. Number 3, putting those into practice. Let me go back to my notes. Putting all of this music theory knowledge and the know-how that you're doing the right things with your posture, with your air, putting all of that into practice. How do you put that into practice? Because it's a lot of information. It's way more information than I can give you in just one Facebook Live, or even like 50 Facebook Lives that are all 11 minutes long, like this one is. It requires that feedback and support that's ongoing. It requires a one-on-one environment so that you can be diagnosed with, laptop head syndrome, or whatever you call this, or like tight embouchure syndrome, or whatever. And then you need to be able to come back to that same support system and check in and find out, am I still doing this right? And then the other part of that is you need to practice playing these intervals so that you can put them in your ear. And yeah, so how do you play intervals and put them in your ear? I'm going to give you an assignment today. Now, this is way more fun when you do improvisation, because that's literally all you do, is you start an improv tune by playing like a major third and just going between the notes of the major third. And kind of like, it's blues. So you kind of get into the flow of that and then get used to how the notes sound together, because you got to be able to recognize you're playing a major third as well. And that's pretty hard to do. I mean, I'm not going to lie. If you're feeling overwhelmed, it's okay. I counted up how many music theory classes I took. 8. I took 8 music theory classes all throughout my college experience. That is 4 total years of intense music theory. And I don't know what Anna did, but we've done this for a long time. And we know how long it takes to develop those skills. But we also know the funnest and fastest way to developing them. Because why even play music if it's not fun? But anyway, your assignment for today is to play a major third. So the best way to do this, if you're not sure what a major third is, it's okay, there is a lot to intervals. But the major third is basically the first note of the scale and the third note of the scale. So I'm just going to do a B flat scale for now as my example. The B flat is the first note of the scale. Go up 2. So B flat, C, D, D. So B flat to D, that is a major third. What you're going to want to do is a couple of options. 1, find a friend to play the B flat. Or get your tuner to play the B flat. You could have the piano play it. You can record yourself playing a B flat. You could go on YouTube and just type in B flat drone. I'm gonna put that in the comments. B flat drone. And you can play a D against it. Don't worry about looking at the tuner. Just listen to it and think about, okay, does this sound like it's in harmony? Does this sound like it's in tune? Practice moving around your D. So maybe, can you hear how the pitch is changing? Maybe you do that, but a little bit more slowly. And just like, even close your eyes so that you can really focus on what it sounds like. And just see if you can get to a point where you just say, huh, that sounds nice. And if it sounds nice, it's probably in tune. I mean, that's really that simple. You can learn things by ear. There's a reason that some famous musicians can't read music. Anyway, so that's my spiel about training your ears to play in tune. So there's a lot to it, but start by getting that major third out and playing it. Let us know in the chat if you try it, if you found that helpful, if you were able to play it. And yeah, I am going to wrap up because I have to go teach a lesson. But I hope you guys have a great evening and eat something delicious for dinner. So, bye!